Today, I'm going to show you how to select new tires for your van. So I ordered my tires online and I scheduled an appointment to have them installed. So when I got to the tire shop, I pulled up and they're like, oh, no, sorry, we don't work on school buses here. Too heavy, which is ridiculous since this is the same weight as like any pickup or any other commercial van or passenger van or anything like that, including the ones that they had in the shop at the time. But whatever. So I just put the tires in the back of the van and drove to a different tire shop. I'm trying a different independent shop here this morning. If that doesn't work, I think there's a place up north that I can take it in a more rural area. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help me out. Some people just don't want your business. There are four main types of tires that you can get for vans. Vans like these E-Series, the Econolines, the E350s, are on the same chassis as Ford's regular trucks, which means that truck tires will fit any of these vans. So it took me 2 tries, but I finally have a place that will install my tires. Just a warning for anyone that's interested in getting a schoolie for themselves, even these short buses, which are literally just E350 vans with a slightly different body on them. A lot of tire shops, a lot of repair shops just won't touch them. I've found better luck with smaller independent chains than big national ones. For whatever reason, they seem to be a little bit more accommodating. There are 4 types of tires that you can get. The first is a highway tire, and if you're spending all your time on road and just going between like state parks or easily accessible campgrounds, things like that, or if you're just urban camping, highway tires are fine. They're the least expensive type, but I should mention that the range of prices for most of these tires actually isn't all that great, so it doesn't really contribute that much to the overall cost of the tire. But they also are the lightest, which is good in some ways, good for fuel mileage. It's bad for puncture resistance. So if you plan on taking your van off-road at all, or off on dirt roads, even at campgrounds and stuff, I strongly recommend an Allterrain tire of some sort. So I just wanted to explain really quickly why I went with General Grabber ATX tires. So first off, you can see the tread pattern on them is a lot more aggressive. They're not a mud tire, they're just a regular Allterrain tire. They're pre-drilled for studding in case I need to go into some heavy snow, but these are rated as snow tires. So I don't have to change tires in the winter, or if I just happen to be going through a mountain pass, which is likely around here, I won't have to worry about the snow. The other reason I went with the Allterrain tire is because they're just heavier duty construction. They're a lot more puncture resistant, and that's a huge bonus for me. I don't have to worry about running over stuff and getting a flat. At least it's much less likely. The other nice thing about all-terrain tires is a lot of the campgrounds are on dirt roads, and there's a lot of sand, a lot of dirt, gravel, things like that. And the tires I have on here, for sure, they slip around on that stuff a lot. And these tires should give me enough traction to get through just about anything, even though this is a 2-wheel drive van. With a 2-wheel drive van, of course, traction is even more important because you have half the number of wheels driving anything. We take the vans at work off on really bad roads all the time, and we used to have highway tires on all those vans, but recently they decided to switch to a more aggressive tread, and that switch has really helped with traction. I should also mention that you can get a less aggressive all-terrain tire. The ones that I have are about the most aggressive all-terrain tire you can get without going into mud tires, but there are also tires like the General Grabber APT tire, which is a compromise. It's not as aggressive as these tires, but it's a lot better than a highway tire, and it's still snow rated, so you can use them all year round. And I think that's a good option for some people, but really these all-terrain tires don't actually compromise all that much. One thing you might find on your van, especially if it's a school bus like this, are commercial tires. So those tires are actually very expensive. They are great if you're putting on a ton of mileage really fast, and they're mediocre at basically everything else. The traction isn't great, the ride quality isn't very good, but they have really thick rubber, and they are great for puncture resistance, and you can get really, really high mileage on these tires. So if you're traveling a lot really quickly, then they actually aren't a horrible option. If your van already has them on it, you know, it doesn't hurt to just leave them on there. Tires do dry out after 5 or 6 years, so the advantages to commercial tires don't really apply much to most van lifers, I don't think. But, you know, if you already have them on your vehicle, they're not going to hurt it. The last type of tire that you can get is a mud tire, and you're going to make some compromises if you go for a mud tire. Just like with the highway tire, mud tires you basically mostly want to be off-road if you're planning on using them, but they're just going to be noisy and not as comfortable, really heavy, so you're not going to get as good fuel mileage. If you have a four-wheel drive van and you're planning on really going off-road, then mud tires actually probably do make sense. But I think for most people, they're just a little bit too much. They're a lot more expensive again, and in most situations, they're probably not actually going to help you all that much. I should also point out that they have a lot less traction on road, and so braking distance and handling is going to be a lot worse. Well, I have my new tires installed, and they look pretty good. In case you're wondering how these tires perform on the highway, they do a great job, actually. They're really comfortable and just generally a lot better. The handling is a lot sharper than it was with those old commercial tires. I think it was mostly just a case of worn out tires more than anything. These new tires really do drive extremely well, and they soak up the bumps a lot better. I know one of the things people talk about with all-terrain tires is that the tire noise can be a bit higher, but to be perfectly honest, tires are the last thing I can hear in here. I can still hear tons of wind noise. I can hear the turbo whine. You know, maybe there's a little bit of tire noise. It does sound a little bit different than it did with other tires, but it's just not that noticeable. It's just kind of generally loud in here either way, and it's mostly just wind noise.